I like to split test. I want to see, does this work at a small level so that I can build it up bigger? And if it fails here, well, maybe I try it again or in a different manner.
Yes.
So I was 19 when I started my master's in finance, and that class that I took was a day trading class. And so I'm like, oh, I got this skill set at young age, let me implement it. And I wrote an article about the over eagerness that I had and the overconfidence that I was like, oh, I'm gonna nail this. And at that time, you know, I had lost, I think it was about $5,000 in the span of a few hours, which was a lot for me when I was like 20 years old roughly, when I implemented what I'd learned from that class. And it was brutal. I remember the cortisol like flowing through my veins. It threw off my entire day. And, you know, we're creatures of habit, but we're also like, that's why gambling is so interesting to some and addictive, because it gets those endorphins and those
it's that dopamine hit
flowing. Absolutely. Yep. So, you know, I've gone back to try to day trading, and even, you know, in the last few months, I've done some, and it's been successful. It's been not successful to some capacity, but the long term and that long game, the mid game, not looking for that instantaneous gratification, but doing something strategically that you know will pan out in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. Yeah. It's not flashy, right? It's not, you can go brag about it 2 weeks later. It's not like that. Those things that are going to be worth it usually take the time, but then they're there to stay. That's
some nuggets right there, right? Your success is prepared in the dark, right? Like, it's one of those things that you got to work your ground game. You got to train in preseason. And it's all that's done. Sometimes it takes years and years to manifest, right? And we're living in this generation where I call it like the TV microwave generation. Yeah. We want to just microwave success and see something flourish overnight, but that's not how it works, right? You got to commit to discipline, right? Every single day, commit to discipline, and then you'll carve out the rest of your life.
Yeah, to your point, you know, if there's even, and I've started and closed and still have a couple different businesses, but what I've found is I will beta test the concept. So I started a pressure washing business, and what I did is I just put some posts out into Facebook and said, you know, I have a pressure washing business, this is who I am, we're veteran owned, this sort of thing. And I had secured a couple of jobs. And then once I did that, I secured them for like a month into the future. Then I actually started the business, because I had essentially day one, I was going to be at a break even for my startup costs. Yes. So built the rig, got the systems in place, found out my vendor to get my chemicals, and everything was smooth sailing from there. But most people they'll take, you know, a huge chunk of their life savings, go all in. That's a concept that works for some people. I like to split test. I want to see, does this work at a small level so that I can build it up bigger? And if it fails here, well, maybe I try it again or in a different manner. Yes. Same with my Amazon business, eBay business. I just started in the last few months. I start super small, get a proof of concept, then you can dial it up. But it's much harder. It's easier to dial things up than it is back. And even for marketing, I'd like to start people small, see it's working, get some calls, get your feedback, change some things if we need to, then dial that sucker up. And that's what people appreciate, is I'm in it for the long game, as you as a business owner should be as well.
It takes a veteran mindset to understand that concept, right? So for most people, owning a business isn't for most people, right? Let's just leave that right there on the table, right? You're not ready for the stress. You're not ready for the late nights and the groundwork that's going to take to get there, right? But if you're wanting to start a business, and a lot of the people that are watching this probably already own businesses, right? They're in the entrepreneur space. They're hungry for something more, right? But instead of going all in, like you said, into a concept that maybe you've done a little bit of research, right? But you have little or no experience doing, why invest so much time, we'll say resources, right?
100%.
Into this until you have some type of a proven concept, right? Like, best example I can think of is like Russell Brunson ClickFunnels, right? Where you're creating an ad, right? Creating ad copy. You want to split test the results, because an ad that you think resonates with your brain is going to make you react and respond to an offer might not engage the 90% of the audience that you're going for, right? So 100%. Basically, the goal in this technological age is to bring something to market as quickly as possible, sometimes before you're even ready, right? So figure out where you want to go before asking for directions. Get out there, take massive imperfect action, and then you go back and you review the data, figure out what's converting best, and you dial in everything from there.
Yeah.
Right?
So one of our mantras in marketing is right message to the right audience at the right time. And there's the tactic, and then there's the strategy. So that reaches your goal overarchingly. So, Facebook ads with one creative versus another creative, or one copy versus another copy, or one audience with another audience. There's a trifecta. There's layers of stuff.
Yeah.
So with the right budget, we almost always split test everything, because we're going to get different things. We even partnered with a company last year with their entire thing is to consult and look at creatives, and they have an audience sit in front of it, and they get the sentiment behind it. They do surveys. Where are their eyes staying on the creative? But don't the guy, at the end says, this is who we are, and across his hand. People didn't like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a super minor thing. But if it made you distrust or dislike that business because of that real minor thing, now you have at least the knowledge to change it, whether you want to or not.
Right.
So, so that split testing is so important as well.
Yeah, that's big.